Welcome back, everybody. In this episode of Cooking with Kirby, we're going to be making pork tamales. Now, do keep in mind, this recipe can be used for pork, beef, chicken, green, or red tamales. So the only difference is the ingredients. So this is the basis of tamales, and which in the future I will be showing more tamale recipes. Tamales are perfect during the holidays, and we make a lot of them during this time of the year. So no further ado, let's get into the recipe. Since you're here, hit the like and subscribe button and make sure that the notification bell is rang. Check me out on social media. That way you can get notification of all my new recipes. We're going to start off by cooking our meat for the tamales. That is the longest part of the whole cooking process. So we're going to be adding in 1 onion, a whole garlic, and 2 tablespoons of salt. And we're going to be adding in our pork. Now you want to cook that for about 2 hours because you want that meat to be pull apart tender. So go ahead and bring it up to temperature and let it cook and check on it after about 2 hours. Once you get your meat situated, then you want to go ahead and take your corn husks and you want to put them in warm water. You want to let them soak so that way they get pliable that you can work with, because if not, they're going to be hard and stiff. Now for the salsa for the tamales, we have to make a little salsa to season the meat and the masa. I don't like a real spicy salsa, so I do a combination of 2 chilies, the Guajillo chilies and California. Guajillo has a good flavor, it's not too spicy, and the California is a real mild pepper, it's not spicy at all. If you're looking to add a little bit more heat to your salsa, you might want to add like a New Mexico chili, but for tamales, I don't go big on spicy chilies. Now in the salsa, I have 5 California chili pods, 5 Guajillo chili pods, 5 cloves of garlic, and 1 tablespoon of dried bay leaves. Now we're just gonna cook those and get them nice and pliable, and then also you want that onion to cook in, but basically until right when it starts boiling, everything's pretty much done. Now we're going to be taking our chilies, onion, garlic, and we're going to be putting that in our blender. We're not going to be using the juice from that pot there. We're going to be actually putting in the broth from our pork. I put about 1.5 cups of pork broth. This first part was 1 cup of the pork broth, but you need to make sure that you have enough salsa for the dough, the masa, and the meat. So you got to do this by eye. You need to make sure that you have enough. So I added another 1/2 cup just to make more. After about an hour or so, then we're going to start our masa for the tamales. This right here is 4 cups of maseca corn flour. This is the tamal version, but there is another version that's just a regular version. I don't see a difference in neither flour. So if you can only find this maseca, go ahead and use this one. I use the exact same recipe, and I don't see the difference in the end results. Now you're gonna add 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder into the masa. Then to add a little bit of flavor, I like to add Knorr's chicken bouillon. That's 2 tablespoons right there. It does add a good flavor to it. My mother-in-law told me about doing this, and you know what? I'm sold on it. So I've been making it like that ever since. And then to add a little bit of seasoning, we're going to be just adding 1 tablespoon of salt. Now we're just going to go ahead and mix all this together. You want to make sure that all your ingredients are incorporated properly, so make sure that you mix well, because next we're going to be adding in our vegetable shortening. Now add in 1 1/4 cup of vegetable shortening. You can use lard also, but a little bit healthier version, I like to use the vegetable shortening. So we're going to be mixing that into the corn flour, and you want to mix it to the point where it doesn't stick on your hands and it's crumbly. I really can't say time. It's probably about 5 to 6 minutes of mixing the vegetable shortening with the flour, but you really got to go by feel. You want the flour to be nice and crumbly, and like I said, it's not going to stick to your hands as much once it's incorporated properly. Now we're going to start off with 2 cups of that pork broth, and we're going to go ahead and mix that into our corn flour. Now it does take a little bit more, and I'm going to explain a little bit on why. It goes really by texture. You don't want a dry texture on your masa. So just to start off, we're going to start off with just a little bit of the pork broth, and then as we need more, we'll be adding more into the masa. Also, you want to add in 1 cup of the salsa that we made. That adds really good flavor to it. You know, that there's no salt in that salsa, so it's just, you know, adding the flavor of the chilies. And once it gets, you know, cool enough where you can work it with your hands, then you want to go ahead and mix it with your hands. Now, as you can see that it's kind of pasty, the masa, but it's not too loose. It's still a little dry. So at this point, then you want to just continue adding a little bit more broth and a little bit more salsa at a time. Now, you don't want to go overboard with adding too much broth and too much salsa because you want the right texture for the masa. In the end, it took about 3 cups of pork broth and 1.5 cup of the salsa. The end result is similar to the softness of Play-Doh. That's what you want right there. It's just like the softness of Play-Doh, and you can smash it really easy, and it's easily spreadable. Now, once your pork is done, I mean, I want it like pull apart tender, like where you don't even have to really hassle with it. So we're gonna shred up all our meat, and then we're gonna add in the remainder of the salsa that we made into the pork mixture. And also, you wanna go ahead and season with just a little bit of salt just to add some seasoning to that mixture, because the salsa, like I said, it doesn't have any seasoning. So mix it up and go ahead and add probably about, I don't know, a teaspoon or so of salt. I basically just went by eye and just seasoned a little as I went, and then mixed it and tasted it. Now you want to take your soaked corn husks, and now there's 2 sides to it. There's a rigid side and a smooth side. So the rigid side is going to be the outside of the tamal, and the smooth side is where you're going to be putting your ingredients. And you can feel it. There is a difference. You still feel rigid, but it's because the rigid is on the other side, but there's actually a smooth side to the corn husks. Now we're gonna just take our corn husk and we're gonna apply a little bit of masa in there, and we're gonna fill with our ingredients. We're gonna add a little bit of that meat. Now, the ingredients of your choice is pretty much up to you. My mom, she does a potato and a green olive in there. I've seen people where they put, you know, slices of peppers, you know, like jalapenos and stuff. That's really up to you, you know, on your ingredients, but this is how we do it here at the house. And black olives is good also. You know, the ingredients of your choice on the filling is pretty much up to you. So we're just basically gonna roll it up, and you wanna fold it on the seam side. And then you kind of just wanna smash it a little bit just to put it all together. Now you wanna use a steamer pot to cook your tamales. So you wanna put all your tamales facing upwards with the opening end, and we're gonna cover it with some of those corn husks. Now that's gonna keep some of that moisture in there. And basically we're gonna just get this up to temperature, and I'm gonna let that cook for 1 hour. You want a good solid hour before you check your tamales. So get your corn husks on there, cover it, bring it up to temperature, and let it start cooking. After 1 solid hour of cook time, you wanna check one of your tamales. Now, to know that your tamales are done, they will not stick to the corn husk when you open them up. Now, do keep in mind that if you have your steam pot more fuller, this is only 2 dozen that I cooked 2 dozen at a time. But if you have it, you know, with more tamales, you need more cook time. So this is where you're gonna know that your tamales are done, if they're not sticking to the corn husk. Once you see that they're done, go ahead and remove them from the pot, and you're gonna let them rest for about 30 to 45 minutes, and they're gonna firm up, and they're gonna be nice, wonderful tamales. Tamales can be a lot of work, but if you plan ahead and, you know, do things one at a time, then it's not so scary. You know, it's just part of the process of making tamales. And I do give my hats off to the women that keep these traditional recipes, you know, current, because, you know, it is a lot of work, but, you know, if you do a small batch, it's not that bad. You know, just like I said, just plan ahead. But the end results are so delicious and so fantastic. I love me some tamales, and this time of the year, this is a perfect time to be making tamales. I'll leave all the ingredients and measurements in the recipe, which I'll actually leave the link in the video description and in the comment section, so that way you can go to cookingwithkirby.com to get the full printable recipe. If you're new to my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button, that way you can see all my future videos. I have these recipes, they're really good, and you should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care.